Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's show. Happy Wednesday for everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night. Guys, we got a lot to talk about on this show. A lot of heated topics, guys. We're going to get into what's going on with the mass shootings in Texas. Still a developing story. A lot of people are still questioning it. Like I said, it's still fresh into the storylines, still developing. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. I want to get into some kind of scenario that now Michael Moore is calling for a repeal on the Second Amendment. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Sas will be in the studio here momentarily, guys. Don't touch the dial. A lot of good stuff. Be right back after these words, guys. Don't touch the dial.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's show. Welcome. Got a good show today. Really damn good show. I want to get into just what the hell is going on with this this mass shooting here in Texas. Got a lot of good stuff happening. Guys, wow, where to start? Apparently, what's going on here is that the news is trying to get their angles correctly on this shooting here in Uvalde, if I'm pronouncing that right, Texas, with the mass shooting. So a lot is going on with that. A lot. Like I said, I want to get into some stuff with that. Want to basically bring Sas here momentarily. We're going to reach out to him. Just gave him the invite here. So guys, what is your thoughts here on this mass shooting? Okay, apparently we're seeing a lot of mental illness, right? We're seeing a lot of downplay being involved with that. A lot of people want to blame the gun, right? There's not enough gun laws being thrown into that. I do agree with that. But you also have to look at the responsibility level coming out of the NRA. Okay, the NRA has to step it up a little bit. They have to screen out these individuals because first and foremost, let me say it right now, folks. This individual that decided to have this gun in his hand and go on a wild, crazy shooting range, if I could say it like that on the show without causing any sensitivity. Okay, should have been screened out properly. Okay, this gentleman, this kid, was suffering from high levels of mental illness. Okay, and should have never been. He should have never had the reach of this gun. Okay, I continually say that the NRA has to step in. They have to step in, and they have to screen out these individuals a lot clearer, without a doubt. Okay. Now, we're going to have Sas join us here and momentarily. But I do want to plug in a comment coming in from Facebook. Shelton writes, okay? And we will plug it in here just in a short bit here, okay? Now, Shelton, right, if that's how you say your name. Okay, yeah. A lot of people are looking at it as a Republican issue, okay? But, guys, it's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue, okay? Yes, it is, okay? And you're probably going to question yourself, and you're probably going to say, you know, is it more Republicans' fault and is it more Democrats' fault? No, it's on both sides, folks. It's on both parts of the aisle, okay? We have to look at this responsibly and seriously. Okay, we have an NRA association that was put in play for right purposes. Okay, I said this just last night on Tommy Nation Politics. Okay, they actually questioned me on this topic as we were closing it out. I don't know if anybody tuned into that show, but we got into a very, very heated debauchery with that. Okay, the NRA has to look at this on a serious note. They have to screen these individuals if they are suffering from mental illness, if they are suffering from disturbance. Why in the hell are they able to have access to guns? Now, if the NRA stepped in and they actually had correct measures on top of it, these individuals would not have access to guns. Right? They would not have access to guns. So when it boils down to it, folks, you have to blame the sector of the NRA. They're not screening these individuals correctly, and these people have very, very comfortable levels of obtaining these type of weapons. Okay? Some places, whether you go inside of a store, okay, I know a lot of stores that sell different types of guns, whether it's Bass Pro, Walmart, just to name a few. Most of these weapons are locked up. Okay? That's good. I give them credit where it's due. Most of them have these weapons locked up. Okay? But if they are not if they are not looking at the credentials of these people, if they do not have a permit, they don't have a license to own and operate a gun, then how the hell are they getting it? Well, it's quite easy. They're going to other avenues. They're going online where you have people online that are not licensed vendors that sell these guns. Sadly, we see it through avenues such as eBay, okay? We see some avenues in other platforms online that do that, and that's very sad. Very sad that we've become a society where we have a lot of mass shooting. Mass shooting has been reaching historic highs. Okay? Now you may question, how come this doesn't go on in other countries? Well, other countries have other laws and restrictions and regulations put in play. Okay? Sure, there's other types of crime. Okay, but that's crime at another level. Jimmy Durant and myself touched on this last night on the podcast here. We touched on this issue, folks. Some countries have crime in scenarios that you couldn't even imagine. So, is some of the crime here bad? Yes, it is bad. Okay? But it's not as bad as you might see across, in other countries. It's not like that, folks. It's It's not like that one bit. Guys, I want to plug this video in here. I think it's extremely important here. As the topic here we're talking about, a very, very serious note. I want to get into this this one agenda here, this one segment here on the show, because if anybody noticed, earlier today in a press conference, that Beto, this was in, I believe this was in Texas, right? Eric, right? It was Texas. Yeah. Okay, Eric's correcting me. It was in Texas. Yes. I'm not sure. Eric, please, if you can look up the information where this was, that would be very, very useful. There was a press conference with Beto, literally questioning and demanding Greg Abbott of Texas. Why is he not stepping in enough on this whole issue? Again, folks, they're playing like a grand supremacy when it comes to these two parties, between the Republicans and the Democrats. Check this out, guys. I mean, this is, oh boy, like what the hell is going on with this whole scenario? Maybe you could be the one to judge this.
It's become a sadly familiar routine. A mass shooting, followed by thoughts and prayers, calls for gun control, and lingering doubts that anything will change. Mass shootings in America are not new, but for a long time they were rare. In the past decade, they've become more frequent and a lot more deadly. Sandy Hook, Orlando, the Vegas Strip, Parkland, and now El Paso and Dayton on the same day. So, what is going on and what is being done about it? Almost half of all civilian guns in the entire world are in America, estimated at around 400 million guns for a population of 330 million. And notice that big uptick from 2007 to 2009. What happened then?
So after the Virginia Tech massacre, we saw what often happens after massacres in the United States, when it looks like that the federal government might be about to take strong action to regulate gun ownership. Gun owners typically respond by, if doing anything, buying more guns and in particular buying more ammunition.
The massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012 saw President Obama try and reinstate a lapsed assault weapons ban, but he was blocked by Republicans.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
Although some states tightened things like background checks, in other states it became easier to buy a gun and carry it in public. In response to the 2017 Las Vegas Strip shooting, which claimed 58 lives, President Trump banned bump stocks, which the gunman used to turn his semi-automatic into a machine gun. Today, about 30% of American adults own a gun. About a third have one gun, another 30% have 5 or more guns. Why do they have them? Overwhelmingly, they say protection, 67%, followed by hunting, 38%, then sport, collecting and work. Typically, Republicans in America favour gun rights, while Democrats want greater gun controls. Republicans are more than twice as likely to own a gun, but even in this polarised era, there are a few things they agree on. 89% of both Republicans and Democrats say people with mental illnesses should be prevented from buying guns. Nearly as many say that people on the federal no-fly list, wanted criminals and suspected terrorists, shouldn't get a gun. And solid majorities support expanding background checks for private sales and gun shows.
You keep saying that this will be the one. This will be the one where America finally, quote-unquote, comes to its senses. But as President Obama said after the Sandy Hook massacre, if they couldn't get it done then, when 30-odd young children were shot down in their classrooms, if America couldn't get it together politically to deal with this then, what will it take?
Yeah, It's a touching story, touching story, guys. We got Saucelin here on the show. I want to bring Sauce into the show. Sauce, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, welcome. Hey, it's good to be back, by the way. Boy, what a day, huh? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. What a day here. I want to switch the format here. Sauce, can you come on camera at all, or are you still having difficulty, pal?
I'm actually having difficulty on camera.
Okay,
so
no worries.
I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. I will keep the format just on myself then. Okay. Sauce, if folks, for those who's just joining in on the live stream, we had brought the co-host sometimes, Sauce, that does join us on the show. He has to do audio sometimes because of where he lives. He lives in the fucking boonies in Madison, Wisconsin. So, Sauce, I know you're just playing catch up, about 19 minutes here in the stream. We're talking about the mass shooting that's going on in Texas. It's still a developing story. A lot of people are still questioning it. Sauce, I want to put this into play, and then I'll get your analysis of this. Everybody wants to blame, the Republicans, but, in my personal opinion, Sauce, I don't think it is the Republicans, okay? I think it's both of them. I think it is two of them on the aisle, right? It's a Republican and a Democrat type of scenario. Both of them should be blamed for this issue. What's your thoughts on that?
So here's my whole thing on it, okay? I've been thinking about this. Is that you are right. It's not people on both sides because, we have extremists on both sides. You have the BLM, you have the Tea Party, and you have all people on both sides. What I've been noticing is that no matter what happens and stuff, we got to stop playing the blame game, and you got to allocate more money into mental health awareness, and because it's not the gun. What I stated the other night? I'm like, it's not the gun that gets up one day and decides to shoot up a bunch of people. It's the people behind the gun. And furthermore, okay, why don't the Democrats and the Republicans do something about this whole epidemic? You have one of the tightest states. For instance, you have New York, Illinois, California, and New Jersey all have one of the tightest gun control laws, but at the same time, they have one of the most mass shootings. For instance, I can't go to Madison anymore. I don't feel safe going to Madison anymore. I pretty much have to gear up and get ready like if it's my last day or not.
I know you've been sending me some screenshots and regular pictures, off the air here of just, not only for your personal protection. Well, yeah, your personal protection, because like you said, you don't feel safe. I don't think anybody feels safe just walking down the streets anymore.
No, absolutely. No, and absolutely not. And the fact that I don't feel, I hate to say it, but like if I were to have a kid and they were graduating, like we have graduation coming up.
Right.
Okay, for high school kids. My graduation gifts would be if I had a daughter, if I had a son. First of all, if I had a daughter, I'd make sure that she gives a taser, number one, because I don't feel safe, and I'd rather get like her by her stun gun. No, okay, that's number one, and pepper spray / mace, and then also we have, and if it was my son, I'd make sure to get him a 12 gauge, because at least he can protect himself.
Right.
And the whole thing is that we shouldn't feel safe. And the biggest problem that we have done, and this plays a huge role, is on the Democrats. When you start touting defund the police, you pretty much are slapping people in the face, such as the military and such as the police.
Yeah. For those who, like I mentioned on the show earlier today, Sauce, I don't know if you caught that episode last night on YouTube. I actually had the honor and privilege of being on another podcast show, the Tommy Nation Politics Podcast. Okay, now this is quite interesting, Sauce, and I'm probably gonna want to hear your comment on this because this is interesting. Now, this is a gentleman, folks, that is a leftist. He's a leftist. Boy. And Sauce is probably going to say, like, Michael, wow, you are brave for being on this show. Now, this gentleman happens to reside in Dallas, Texas. He is a leftist, okay? But this is also a gentleman that does not agree with the right or the left. Now, Sauce, he is right in the middle. He doesn't support the left and he doesn't support the right, okay? He's right in the middle, but he is a leftist. What's your comments on that?
So, well, it depends on. So he's a centrist. So he's centrist. So what that means is that you don't. Well, it depends on what issue he like is left on. What's one of the issues? If it's abortion, I'm sorry. There's like, does he identify himself as a Christian though?
As a Christian, to an extent. He did get into some light spirituality with light religion and light spirituality. So yes, to an extent, I would say.
Okay, because my whole thing is that, you know, I feel like that there's not a day like I feel like that there's no centrists in this day and age. Those are called your independents because at this point, this country has become so divided. This country has become so divided that it's not like we can't like get people to agree on one subject.
Right.
And so with having centrists and independents, it's kind of scary to think about because what I feel like that's happening in this day and age is that like you either are for America or you hate it so much you hate so much for your guts.
Yeah, I hear you. We got into a topic here, Sauce, and I'd love to get your feedback on it because, I mean, you and I, and then also Jimmy the Rant when he is on the shows, we have so much related, maybe an understanding, if I can use that on the show. You know, all three of us, we understand each other very well, and we agree on a lot of the same material and same content. Now, when I was on his show, we did get into a segment part of what went down in Texas yesterday, where on his show they were blaming that it was a white supremacist issue. Now, white supremacists, those are the people that are to blame, right? You have to blame the white supremacists. There's more white on black crime than black on white crime. We did get into that. And I had to put a correction on his own show. I said, you know what? I want to disagree with you on that, Tommy. There are just as many black on black crimes as there are white on white crimes, or vice versa. White on black, black on white. Right?
You're absolutely right because here's the whole thing that frustrates me. Okay, we have people on both. So what the Democrats want to play during these mass shootings is like, well, it's always a white person, all right, and then it kind of gets blown up so much if they want to pass like gun control laws. They have to make sure it's a white person. For instance, it's funny because you see that that subway shooting. It was done by a black man, all right, and it got about a day's media coverage, and it didn't go as big as they wanted it to go because he was black. But if it was for instance, a Texas shooting, how else are they going to pass gun control laws if it's he's a supposedly white supremacist? And what the funny part is, Michael? That individual that did the shooting?
No,
he was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter, and he was on his volunteer campaign.
Really?
Yes.
This is some breaking news here being expressed here on the Patriot Angle podcast. Sauce, the reason why I said I wasn't aware of that because mainstream isn't reporting on that Bernie Sanders segment there. So
no,
if I may, Sauce, where did you get that information from?
So I got the information from one of the county sheriffs that actually is part of the Republican Party out of Bexar County, and the vice chair called, and I kind of asked about it. I'm like, hey, what's the Bexar County Republican Party doing about it? And I'm like, and can I get a little bit more information about it? So the guy actually contacted me from the vice. He's a executive vice chair of the Bexar County Republican Party. He's the one that told me about the information because he had close contacts with the sheriff.
Oh, okay. Wow. Good stuff. Actually, one of our live viewers on Rumble is actually saying the same thing. He did hear something like that in Bexar County, the county that you had just mentioned. So he actually is tuning into the show right now and says, I happen to reside in Bexar County, and I've heard that segment and that story as well. Sauce is absolutely 100% correct about the Bernie Sanders support. So, yeah, that I think is is a developing segment right there because, like I said, I haven't heard it even on Breitbart. And Breitbart and Newsmax are usually platform sauce that will deliver true stuff, with these stories. So yeah.
Well, and see, that's the whole. Okay, so and that's the whole thing is like with Breitbart, and another individual, not another individual, but another thing I'm starting noticing is that like no matter what happens and stuff, I'm noticing, is like I don't like how the media only covers one part. They just slap him as being white. That's you got to look at both sides. You got to go dive in deep, not just look at the one-sided.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Sauce.
And the fact that and this is a part of the media that's the dishonesty of the media, and we see that in Newsmax as well. We don't only see it and that's the whole thing is that we see this in Newsmax starting to happen in Newsmax, and we also see this starting happening like across, other networks that are starting to change and start getting viewership.
Yeah, sadly, they're developing that that bias type of angle on their platforms, and it's sad. It's sad that they have to do that, Sauce. Just to get a talking point across. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely, and I agree with you 100%. And see, one individual and here's why I don't trust any of the media actually, because ratings, they have to say one thing. We see this happening. And we see this happening. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead, Sauce.
Hello. Can you hear me? You hear me?
Yes, Sauce. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So one thing that I'm starting noticing is that this happens even inside the Republican Party. In order to get one-sided, they paint as the other people. They paint people as bad people. For instance, you look at, and okay, so for anybody, can I expound on exactly what RPW is and why the importance of it is before we continue?
Go ahead.
Okay.
The floor is yours. You could explain this, and then shortly after you explain this, I want to get into the whole Beto segment between Greg Abbott that happened earlier today at a press conference. So go ahead.
You mean that commie?
Yeah. So, the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So what RPW is that RPW is a Republican, Wisconsin's Republican Party group. It's a national political party in Wisconsin. So what happened is on this past Saturday, how it did not endorse, that they pulled endorsement from him, is that from this candidate who I did not know that we broke the news, but they pulled the endorsement from him. So now he has to spend his own money on hiring faculty members and his own money on ads and stuff, since he failed to get the endorsement. But the interesting part that I find out to be interesting is that his team actually, while we were talking on the phone, like happened yesterday, his team called and I answered the phone and there was nobody on the other line.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what's going on with his team, but it needs to stop. And I'm going to keep on exposing him because he's a true rhino. Because if you're really for the people, and if you're going to fight for the people, why don't you just say, hey, you know what? We want to say thank you for your opportunity, and we want to say thank you, or just be straight out and stop walking around the bush and stop saying, oh, you know what? Well, we're going to use you. Because one of the biggest pet peeves of mine is I hate being used. And I hate being used, especially just for personal gains.
Yeah, well, we do have those screenshots, Sauce, that we will plug into the show sometime tonight here with the show. But guys, Sauce, I want to plug this video in just real quick.
Okay.
With Greg Abbott calling Beto
and Pencil Neck Beto.
What's that?
Pencil Neck Beto.
Yeah. I want to plug this in, Sauce, because Greg Abbott is going after Beto, literally calling the guy a sick son of a bitch. I mean, you gotta hear this, guys. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
And at this time, I will pass the mic to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Excuse me. Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Hey, sit down and don't play this stuff. Shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue. It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
Wow. Sauce, what's your thoughts on that, buddy?
He is a okay. Are we on filter?
Yeah, go ahead. You know that, Sauce. Come on now.
For you to do that, you're making an ass of yourself if you do that. Okay. How dare you? Okay. You go up and you make a mockery of yourself, and now that, but you make a mockery and you're slapping. You're pretty much giving the middle finger and say, "Well, this issue. I don't really care about the family. I don't really care about anybody else except me." That is a self-centered son of a bitch, and no wonder why he couldn't get elected as president, and no wonder why he didn't make it through the primaries.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, this was a press conference earlier today, Sauce, that Beto is
how
hold on.
How appalling is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, my voice cracked.
No, you're fine. I was saying this was at a press conference earlier today, okay, in Texas, that Beto is like, it's all the fucking Republicans' fault, right? I mean, this is crazy.
Well, how do you explain? Well, why don't they talk about all the shootings in Chicago or Madison or Milwaukee? They're all ran by Democratic cities. Why don't they say, "Oh, well, you know what"? See, the problem is that when you have a Democratic governor, a lot of people look at it saying, "What's it? Republicans." But the fact that you have to look at is, look at Dallas, look at San Antonio, look at all these major cities. Who are they ran by? Not by Republicans, not even close. They're ran by your local Democrats that want to punish people for being law-abiding citizens, but then want to give a pass to each of the criminals. For instance, you look at the Waukesha massacre. The fact that Petri Harris.
I think
said,
we
well,
lost.
You know what? It was poor vehicle. Like, it wasn't the car's fault. It's apparent. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, Sauce. Go ahead, buddy. It sounds like you're driving. Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So the fact that you're slapping people in the face and stating that, well, you know what? It's because of making a political issue. That's just rude. You know, and if you're going to at least wait till like at least a week or two to make it a political issue, it shouldn't be a political issue. Why don't you start funding the police, and why don't you start going after these nutsos and put them in mental hospitals?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in the show, it's not a right or a left issue. It comes down to the damn NRA that have to basically, screen out these people that may suffer from mental illness. That's what it boils down to. It boils down to a mental illness problem. People that suffer mental illness should not have access to these guns. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So, I think we're losing Sauce here. It sounds like he's driving in his car, so he might be going through some spotty spots of service. So we do apologize, folks, that it seems like Sauce is going through some bad areas there in Wisconsin. So, Sauce, I mean, can
you hear me?
I don't know if you heard that last part, buddy. Yeah, I can hear you. Like I was explaining to the listeners, I think you are going through some bad spotty spots there in Wisconsin. So I don't know if you heard that last part, but, it comes down to an NRA problem. That's what it comes down to. The NRA has to screen out these individuals a lot clearer, right? I mean, plain and simple.
Yes.
So, but Sauce, I think we might lose you here. We're hearing a lot of like disturbance here on your end, but yeah, I think Sauce just kind of left here. But folks, that's Sauce. He does join us here on this show, but it sounded like he was driving from his college going back to his house. He's a young kid, guys. He gets it. He understands what's going on. Folks, I will elaborate to the listeners here. Okay, this is not a right or a left issue. Okay, it comes down to the NRA. Should the left and right be blamed for some of this? No. Should they take it more responsibly? Yes, absolutely yes. We have to look at gun issues on a serious note. On a serious note, we have to look at gun issues. I look like Sas is going to be joining us back into the stream. Hopefully his data can keep up here. It seemed like he was driving here, but we'll bring him right back into the show. Hey, Sas, welcome back to the show, buddy. It sounds like you're driving, man.
Well, actually, I'm with my good friends of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hello.
They are very. I have to say that these the friends that I have, they're very good friends, and that they're very. They're friends that I wish I had when I was in high school because, like, they keep me accountable. They are fantastic. They're fun to hang out with.
Okay. Hello, Sas? Yeah. Yeah, it's. Are you going through like a tunnel?
There are people after God's.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of bad disturbance on your end, pal. Are you going through like a tunnel or something, or through the mountains there, or what?
No, I'm going through a MLS stoplight. No, so did you hear what happened? Or you probably didn't hear what I said about my friends, right?
I heard bits and pieces of it. Yeah, they're basically like you. Yes.
No, they're not like me. They're not like me. They hold my fire to my feet, literally. They call me out on my BS, and they're like my good accountability partners, and they're like the people I invite to my wedding, but tell the honest truth, and hopefully the wife doesn't file for a divorce once they tell the truth. But
right.
But in all like fun and laughs, I love them as my family, and they're very trustworthy, and I open myself to them, and they're fantastic.
Yes.
But besides that, we're gonna get back on topic. I'm sorry about that. But
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Why doesn't the NRA do something more better about it? They should screen better people, not just allow any whack job get a gun.
Well, Sas, this goes down to the point I'm trying to say here on the show. They want to make it a left and a right issue. The Democrats want to blame the Republicans. The Republicans want to blame the Democrats, right? It's all the Republicans. It's all the Democrats' fault. That's what it's coming down to. They want to blame each other, and I've said this on Tommy Nation Politics just last night. It comes down to a supremacy issue. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hold power of supremacy in this country, in the government. That's what it's coming down to. We're seeing it throughout the different angles. We're seeing it through what's going on right now in Texas. We're seeing it through all these different types of agendas. That's basically being funneled into the political angle, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Oh, and you know what the sad part is? You know what June 1st is, right?
June what?
June. You know what the whole month of June is? You want to talk about politicizing? You better brace for June. The whole month of June, you're gonna see so much garbage like you've never seen before, and that's why I'm not gonna like the month of June.
Well, you want to explain a little bit more about June then?
Oh, absolutely. So what June is, and here's why I don't like the month of June. Okay, June is for the alphabet people, and if any viewers and stuff, it's LGBTQRSUVWXYZ. Now I know my ABCs and stuff. It's those kind of month. And so what pretty much is that they push it upon they shove it people's down throat. And my whole thing is, okay, my stance on it is if you're gay, kudos, well, good for you, I guess. You want me to give you a basket of florals or whatever. And if you're lesbian, same thing. But don't shove it down my throat, because that's just absolutely wrong, because you're going to turn people away and you're going to really alienate people. And that's what's going on.
Well, here's the thing, Sas. They want us, to
be divided. Because then
I gotta say this correctly, okay? So, because hey, listen, I don't want to make anybody cry, okay? But like normal people like you and me, Sas, Jimmy the Rant, and other people that may come on the show or listen to the show, normal people, right? They want us normal people to understand them and accept them, when those type of people, the alphabet people like you call them, they want us to accept them when they can't even accept themselves. How does that make sense?
And you know what the sad part is? Is that the sad part is that, like, you know, that's only the only 1%, like less than 1% of the population that's got a big voice, but like it's got small majority, but got a big voice.
Right.
And they're screaming at the top of the towers.
Well, they're screaming at the towers until the cows come home, right? I mean,
yeah.
But you know, what do you think with this Beto thing here? You know, Beto, you know, going berserk earlier today in the press conference.
He has to know better. You know, don't make yourself look like an ass.
Right.
You know, he has to know better, and he has to, if he's running for office and if he's taking his office running seriously, he's got to grow up and say, okay, you know what, maybe this is how I should act or should not act. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Hold that thought, Sauce. I want to plug in a clip from last night with me and Jimmy the Rant, literally on this topic here of, you know, just violence in America and what Jimmy the Rant, his insights on it, guys. Check this out.
Patriot Unfiltered.
Violence here in America is not as bad in some parts of the world. Let's face it.
No. I mean, you see third world nations, man, that like the crime rate there is at extreme levels. Nothing, you couldn't even imagine half the shit that goes on in these other countries that you would probably see in America because it doesn't exist here. You know, you might have burglaries, you might have armed, robberies, you might have shootings, but half the crap that goes on in these other countries is like I said, it's at extreme levels, Jimmy. Stuff that you would never even imagine here in America.
Of course, the communities are dying. And what I mean by that is when I was growing up as a kid, I lived in Jersey City, New Jersey, and we had a large community. When you went outside, people were sitting out on the porch, people sitting out on the stoop, and everyone knew your parents, and they were going to, if they seen you acting up, they were going to tell your parents. There was
All right, so Sauce, like, what's your insights on that, buddy? We got into that in depth. We got that in real depth. You know, the community is dying. I don't know if you kind of understand where Jimmy was going with that little bit there. Our communities are dying out. Plain and simple, right? Plain and simple.
Well, by gunshots or by aging?
What's that, Sauce?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead, bud.
Well, which one? By people shooting up each other? By people aging or by people shooting up? Hello, can you hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you, Sauce. Yeah, man. What we're saying is, with our communities dying out, okay, he feels that our communities are just reaching a point where we can't even go down the street without worrying about our children. You know, back in the day, see, I think this is kind of like, respectfully, you kind of don't understand like what we mean by that, and that's okay. Because, you and I come from different generations. You know, I come from the early 80s, early 90s. What me and Jimmy are referring to with the communities dying out is that back in the day, we would feel comfortable sending our kids down the street without worrying about, somebody shooting them or kidnapping them or, doing sick shit that you see today. We could do that. Even in rough communities. I grew up in New Jersey. Jimmy grew up in New Jersey, right? We grew up in areas that were like 45 minutes from lower Manhattan. Even in North Jersey, there was areas in North Jersey that were a little rough around the edges. But still, we still lived in somewhat of a safer America then. We didn't have all the crap that you had now that you had then. That's what we meant to say, that the communities now are dying out versus the communities that we had back then.
You're absolutely right. And the fact that we have people like stating that I do not. I have people coming up to me stating that, what do I give my kid for graduation, or how do you protect your kid? I'm like, well, you might as well get your kid a bulletproof vest because it's like becoming dangerous. The fact that we can't go around talking, like we can't go around places, we can't go around parks without having creepers creeping in on our kids and stuff, and we either getting shot. It's pretty sad, and that tells you how this country's gone down the tube really fast, and it's all because certain people are crying out, defund these programs that are meant to protect the kids, that are meant to protect the public, but they're getting taken away. Look at the east side of Madison, for instance. The Madison that I used to live at, or that I live at, before, like, I would go around walking at night, around midnight, not around midnight, but like around 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Well, now you don't even want to go walk past them, but like 5:30 because there's always a shooting going on.
Wow, and that's unfortunate too. That as a person that lives in that area, as an individual, you have to deal with that. You have to get accustomed to that type of culture. That's the type of culture that I'm talking about now in modern America versus, America in the early 90s, the 80s, the 70s. Yes, there was stuff that went down. I mean, Christ, we can go back to the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s when the Italian mobs used to run New York and New Jersey and Philadelphia and Boston, right? But that was on a different scale, Sas. We had mafia groups that would run those areas, but they were almost looked upon as like as a militia, right? That kind of took care of their neighbor, looked after their family members, their neighbors. Yeah. I mean, they were killers. Don't get me wrong, but it was if this makes sense, Sas, they were looked at as like a good sense of people to be around with because they gave you that like kind of free type of protection, or if it wasn't free, they would be like, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You know what I mean? So
yep. Well, that's why the sad part is like I grew up in a communist country. I grew up in Russia, so I honestly tell people, I'm like, you know what? It's funny because I went to a city council meeting. I said, you know what? We should change our signage. Don't say welcome to Wisconsin. Don't say welcome to Madison. Don't say welcome to Westfield. We should say welcome to Russia 2.0. Hope.
I know you say this all the time on the show. Yeah.
And hashtag and put like, hey, one man for himself, and hopefully it's like the Wild West. Wild West Russia should be. Welcome to Wild West Russia.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Go ahead, Sauce.
It shouldn't be that way, though. That's the problem. It shouldn't be where you're like, you don't know if you're going to be for your last day or not. You don't know if you're going to get like carjacked, or you don't know if sometimes you're going to get shot or ran over and stuff. And
oh, sure.
And here's the whole thing. So today, it was last week. Okay, last week there was a hit and run right in front of, and not only that, but like the police officers have been demonized so bad that I was on the east side of Madison again. Okay, there was a major hit and run incident. All right, so I put on my stopwatch because I pulled over. I'm like, okay, how long are they going to wait? How long is the police response time? You know what? Behind it was a red truck. It was a red lift truck. Okay, he went and hit and run and just took off. And before the red truck, there were two police cars. And you know what happened? The light turned green, and they went on their merry way.
I'm telling you. Sas, hold that thought. I got to get a quick break in here.
Okay.
But guys, we'll be right back after these short words. We got Sas here joining us via phone. Excuse me. He's joining us over the phone here. So guys, don't touch the dial. We'll be right back after these short words. what's your views here on the more on this shooting? I know I know we're like constantly saying what's your views, what's your this. I'm trying to get more developing kind of bits into the show because there's a lot of mainstream that's really not touching on it. Not touching on it. I mean, you can go to YouTube right now. You can go to Newsmax. You can go to Fox. They're really not getting into it, as much. I know CNN is trying to throw some narratives in there, saying it's all white supremacy and kind of the same bullshit that they always talk about. But I mean, where do you see us going from here? Do you think there's going to be more mass shootings, or do you think it's just going to take a kind of a pause for a moment?
Oh no, it's going to be more mass shootings. Because you know what the sad part is that you have the COVID pandemic starting to die down. Things are opening up. You have now what's in line is the monkeypox and how that's which is AKA shingles, and that narrative is starting to fall apart. So what do they have to resort with? Well, you have shootings in order to really limit people's rights, and so I believe that there's going to be more shootings. But at the same time, there's going to be money trails. If you look at, because my goal is I want to find out who actually paid this guy. Like for instance, you had the subway shooter who was paid over $5,000 minimum, and you had the FBI, like he was a convicted felon, and the fact that he requested that he was on the fly list and stuff. Normally, if you're a convicted felon, and that you're on the no-fly zone, you can't go flying anywhere. So my question is, who's providing all these circumstances and who's behind it? And I think the subway shooting was staged. Okay, I feel like
so?
this. Oh, absolutely. You can't have. You're telling me that you're in one of the biggest cities in the world, New York City. Okay, you're telling me you have 4 fucking cameras on. Okay, that's it. Why don't you cry me a river? Okay, and you're also telling me that this guy. Okay. You have the Metro Police, okay? You're telling me that, they're like, hey, why are you carrying an M4? Normal police would be like, hey, you know what? This is who this guy is, and they would arrest him on the spot even before the subway because you have to go through a security checkpoint to get on the metro station.
Wow. Hey, Sash, you sure you weren't an inspector there in Russia before you came to the States? As a young boy, you weren't like like Inspector Gadget over there. I mean, guys.
Why is that?
Well, to pick up a little joke, Sas, to pick up type of body language, like Sas is saying on the show. It's set up, as a diversion, a distraction point. With the whole subway story. When you look at body language, normal body language that is orchestrated through police activity, training, and everything else, and it doesn't match up to what they would normally do, Sas, yeah, I could agree with you on that now. It does seem like a setup, yeah. You know what I mean? It does seem like a setup.
It is, and you have to look at both sides, okay? You can. And not only both sides, but you also have to look at, with the diversion, because what are they going to do? You have all these policies starting to fail and starting to fall on their faces. Okay, number one. Okay, number two, how are you going to keep people in fear? How are you going to keep them brainwashed and keep them manipulated? You keep on throwing these tactics out. You keep on throwing all these, distractions out and all these shootings. No offense to the people.
Yeah, no offense. I think Sauce got his new nickname on this show, Sauce the Analysis. I mean, yeah.
And it's really heartbreaking because you're telling me. I mean, you just have to do your homework. You can't just go out and go nilly-willy. And another thing is that with all these people, like we look at, all these people. How are they getting guns? Okay. It's through the black market. Why don't we do something for the black market?
Yeah. I mean, we do have Sas. We don't have an issue when it comes to regular licensed vendors that are either online or in stores, right? I mean, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Bass Pro Shops, and they have a license to sell these weapons, right? They will screen you. Why don't we have that taken care of on, like you said, the private sectors of these businesses? People that
Yes.
don't even have a damn license to operate. I said this earlier in my show. I mean, it seems like you have a time machine where you went back earlier in the show because you just joined us like about almost 20 minutes into the show. And I said that right as I started the show. It's not an issue with public companies such as Bass Pro and Walmart, and just to name a few. They don't have an issue. They have a license to sell these guns and to screen the individuals before that individual makes that purchase. Excuse me. But why don't we, like Sas says, why don't we, more or less as the NRA, to look at these other businesses such as the black market, get more into depth, right? I mean, we don't have a problem, Sas. We don't
Yes.
have a problem. We don't have a problem with S&M in this country, surveillance and monitoring people on social media and making sure that their facts are lining up, right? Why don't we use the same technology that we use on social media to spy on people because they're saying some kind of fucking comment because it might break Sally's heart 6 states over? Why don't we use the same technology for the gun issue?
Yes. And see. Yes, and see, and that's the whole thing. Like, and yeah, why don't we use that? Why don't we utilize the resources? And heavens forbid, we're throwing a whole bunch of money at multiple issues. Why don't we start surveilling and having tighter restrictions? For instance, anybody that when we go on, like for instance, if somebody posts like Facebook, or YouTube, like, hey, I'm going to do some awful stuff, for instance, right there, and then that should be flagged, and that should be tracked down to your residence house and wherever you are, and all that. But heavens forbid, you have the same people then cry out, say, well, that's infringing on your rights. Well, that's called protecting society. Why don't we do that? But we don't want to, because how we're going to keep the public in fear.
I guess it's all about manipulation, right?
Bingo. And it's about manipulating people, and it's about manipulating and taking vulnerable situations. For instance, we look at, we look at the Ukraine issue. We look at, how just because Ukraine, we got to throw more money at it, and without really solving the problem. It's like, what happens when you get cut? You put a Band-Aid, but what this country has done is that they get a cut and they put dirt on it that's infested with what, so it gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah, the bacteria grows into that, right?
Yeah.
There's a girl here I'll plug in here. She's joining us here on the live feed of Rumble. Stacy out of, believe it or not, Madison, Wisconsin. Wow, Stacy says that you and Sas are on point with the gun issue. They're using S&M technology on social media with fact-checking. Why don't they use similar technology when it comes to screening individuals with purchasing guns and other types of weapons?
Yes,
I agree with you, Stacy.
I agree with her 100%. And it's, because for instance, anyone, I used to be on Facebook for my podcast and stuff, and I spoke about God and I spoke about this whole thing. They had no problem on Facebook censoring me off and getting me off of Facebook because I spoke about, how we need to stand up for our faith and, telling the good news. I had no problem. They had no problem with censoring me off of it because I was spreading Russia disinformation. Why don't they utilize their allocate the resources and funding to go after these crazy nutsos, that think it's okay to post like, I'm going to do something bad, be prepared for tomorrow. You see all those crazies, and sure enough, we don't take them seriously. I think those should be taken seriously. The fact that they don't is heartbreaking, because that's why. Because if you really care for the society, then you would want to do something. You want to protect it, not just allow people to be, thinking, oh, you just laugh it off and say, oh, maybe this guy's upset. Maybe he's just blowharding. Well, we see in stories where they think that they're blowharding, but that actually happens to be bad. Like what they do is actually awful. It's a tragedy.
Huh.
I
agree.
Sorry if I'm boring you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I do hear I hear some people in the background. Are you at school right now, Sauce?
So I'm actually I'm actually walking around Target.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Where there's
hear the
better
voice.
self-service.
Yeah, I hear the voice getting a little low because you don't want to draw attention. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Sas, 100%. Sas, I'm gonna give you another minute here left on the show because I don't want to take too much of your time. You might be doing some things, shopping and everything. I love your passion behind this message. I love your involvement and your commitment on this show. Jimmy the Rant, I mean, he's always saying, please, try to get Sauce on Tuesdays because, Jimmy loves talking to you. He a very, very well endowed, intelligent young man. Jimmy calls you. But I think you earned another nickname here, Sauce. I think we're gonna go with Sauce the Analysis, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're always analyzing things into other perspectives, and you're giving it a better viewpoint, instead of that biased viewpoint that Crooked CNN always delivers. So
And not only that, but it's not only CNN, but it's also Newsmax. It's also these so-called Republicans. You have to look at both
yeah.
sides, and then you have to come up with your own answer. For instance, we looked at the 2,000 Mules. I think that everyone should see the 2,000 Mules,
Yeah.
and and then you can decide for yourself. Not have one person say, "Oh, you know what?" Then make it optional. You should really push for the 2,000 Mules to be broadcasted all over, not just just one thing. But hey,
well, we're trying to get the video license from them to plug them into the show. If we can do that, I might plug that into the show as a side piece just to show people what went down in 2020. Because if you guys check out the video content of 2,000 Mules or the book, it is in a book format as well. Tremendous documentary of what went down. Stuff that mainstream wouldn't even touch on, Sauce.
yeah.
So,
Well, no one wants to touch on it because you see all these so-called. You look at Rebecca Clayfish, who's a candidate for governor in Wisconsin. She went out.
Yeah.
She went out stating that there was no such thing as voter fraud. Okay, that's number one. That is completely wrong. There was significant voter fraud. That's first and foremost. Okay, she went after that one.
Yeah.
And then you have all these so-called Republicans because they want to get the endorsement from the establishment. So they say what they want you to hear.
Oh,
But
sure.
then it's frustrating because you can see right through them. And then Rebecca Clayfish has the audacity to take a picture of herself with President Trump and do a mass mailer out to people. Say, you know what? I'm the only candidate that stood with President Trump. I say bullshit on that one because you're the one that after 2020, after the day after the election, you're the one that made a big congratulations to Joe Biden and said that I will help you out in any way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you notice about that. I just tuned onto the news shortly before this broadcast, and you see everything that's pretty much back to normal here, even in my state of Georgia. We just had the Georgia primaries, right? They weren't showing mail-in ballot; they were showing everybody at the ballot locations back to normal. I'm like, wow. Where's the mail-in ballots? Where's all the drop-off locations?
Yeah. How so before I let you go, I would definitely be on your show more. It'll be in a better format though.
Yeah, we'd love to get you on video, and hopefully bring you on the format here with Tuesday with Jimmy the Rant.
Yes.
Also, too, Jimmy is actually just about ready to launch his own brand, his own podcast, which I'm going to have a huge involvement with the first episode. So possibly I'm going to talk to Jimmy off the air and see how he feels about possibly maybe bringing you on his first episode. Decline of Reason, what he's going to be calling his podcast. So that would be a huge honor, having you on his podcast, and then also hopefully, Sas, I don't know what your schedule is and your availability is for next Tuesday. But next Tuesday, we're going to have a gentleman, hopefully, if we can get his timing correct, a gentleman that will be on the show joining us via satellite from the country of Japan.
Get out.
Some big stuff happening on the show. So, yeah, hopefully, we're going to get his schedule time because, the time zone is like way different. Yeah.
It's 14 hours. Hey,
Yeah.
If any of your viewers want to catch my podcast, I do a podcast called Remember God Loves You, and I'll meet at the finish line. So as I sign off, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be a guest on your show and continue, actually co-host, not be a guest, co-host.
Yeah, you're part of the show, Sauce, you know?
And
like,
I want to say thank you for the opportunity. And you're welcome to follow me on Spotify. Just put Soslan, SOSLAN, TEMANSON, and there'll be a link below. And remember, God loves you, and I'll meet you at the finish line. Have a blessed day, guys.
Thank you, Sauce. And remember, guys, you just heard Sauce on the airwaves, the analysis of the Patriot Angle podcast. Thank you very much, Sauce. And, hey, buy me something nice at Target.
Oh, alrighty. Have a
All right,
blessed day.
buddy.
Catch you
All right,
later,
take it easy. All right, guys. You just heard Sauce on this show. Such an honor. Sometimes he has some Wi-Fi issues. We make little goofs here about that, but you know, I mean, the guy lives in like the middle of nowhere in, you know, little country of Madison, Wisconsin. You know, the nearest cell phone tower is like 30 fucking miles away. But guys, here, I want to plug into the show here, something goof here. Hat tip to this person here off of YouTube. I'll give him a hat tip. I'll give him a credit for this. I think it was the most funniest friggin' fucking video that they made here. The real Three Stooges of the society, guys. Check this out.
Hey, I got an idea.
Shut up, I don't want to hear it.
So let's bring about the change this country needs.
Well, boys, we're all set. We got the directions.
It's an accident. The crock skidded.
So did your brain.
How did I know he was a detective? And the judge says we'll be out of here in 8 months on good behavior.
They can't hang us. We're innocent. We're innocent, I tell you.
You're telling me? Well, they're going to hang us.
Oh, no. I'm too young to die.
Listen, you, we got 24 hours to live. Think.
Think, think.
Is this a musical song?
Certainly. It plays a hero rhapsody. A hornet's trying to horn in on me.
Wait a minute. Hold still. I see him. You with that iron head of yours now, I'm liable to have to pay for another hammer. Oh. See that?
Yeah.
Hey, we came to get you out. Yeah? That's great. When do we break out?
Well, boys, last you're free.
Thank you, Warden.
Oh, don't mention it. Hurry back.
We're out at last. 40 years I've waited for this day.
Good stuff, guys. I mean, how can you not laugh about that? Hat tip to Chaparral, if I'm pronouncing that name right, for producing that video on YouTube. We're going to give you the video credit for that. Good stuff. I do follow that content creator very, very heavily, and they're always coming out with some funny, humorous type of videos. But guys, I want to close it out here. I think everybody understands what we need to do with this whole, shooting scenario. What's going on here in America? I think we have to. I think we need to have the NRA step in a little bit more severely. Okay, screen out these individuals, and that's that, folks. It doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist to figure this out. You know, the NRA has to get in play a little bit more. They have to be more involved. They have to do what's right, and you won't see any of this, folks. Right? Guns kill people. Don't get me wrong, but the actual gun doesn't kill people. The people behind the gun kills people. Okay? Screen out the mental illness and eliminate and block gun access to people that are mentally ill. That's my closing, guys. Hope you like today's podcast. Remember, guys, tune in every Tuesday. Jimmy the Rant, myself are on the podcast for unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut political material. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and we will see you on the next one.
Patriot Unfiltered. You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an unfiltered Patriot Productions. Please follow us on Facebook at the Patriot Angle Podcast and Instagram at Patriot_Angle_Unfiltered. Also, you can hear every episode on Amazon Music, Audible, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also check out our website, PatriotAnglePodcast.com, and also our unfiltered merchandise, PatriotUnfiltered.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.